Welcome, everyone, to the Boiling Point Podcast. This is episode 126. No penalties for bribery at the West Shore School District. And I am your host, JD, alongside Mariana, host of the Watchdog Report and co host of Simply Speaking. And of course, we'll give Christy a shout out. She is the other co host of Simply Speaking. So, shout out to Christy. She's not here on this episode, but that's okay. I'm sure she'll be tuning in once we post it. Marcus Frederiksen played us in. He plays us in and out of every episode of the Boiling Point Podcast. He also plays Mariana in and out of every episode of the Watchdog Report and Simply Speaking. So make sure you check him out, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. And check out our storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. We have brand new Freedom Apparel up. So you want to check that out because it's likely only up for a limited time. And it's pretty awesome. I did a damn good job, if I do say so myself, on the new design. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So make sure you visit our storefront, check it out, pick something up. We'll be expanding. We will have some of that. We will have it offered in mugs and on the bags, and we'll have other products. For now, we just did it on the on t-shirts and tank tops for ahead of the summer. Well, we're in the middle of the summer, not ahead of the summer. Mariana, we're going to talk about a couple of different things.
Okay.
But first, I'm going to start us off here with the fact that a couple of weeks ago you did on your Watchdog Report. It was on your show that because you're the one that received the source from the cell phone ferry, where we received evidence of bribery.
Correct.
And since then, nothing has happened. Now, if this wasn't enough, the evidence. Immediately following that, Adam Trone released a statement. He's the briber. David Britton was the bribee. Now, David Britton did not respond to any of these messages, and Mariana and I were just discussing this before we started recording, how I think it's phenomenal how he didn't respond at all. He didn't even come back with a smart remark or, anything like that. He just did not respond at all. That takes some fortitude to just not respond at all. So
yeah, that shows that he has integrity, and that's the word integrity that this society and culture that we're living in don't know the definition of, and obviously David does, and kudos to him.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, absolutely, kudos to him. And then, of course, if the evidence, the actual text messages wasn't enough, Adam Trone decided to just admit it on a Facebook post the next day. And I mean the next morning from when Mariana posted her Watchdog Report. Was that a midnight edition, Mariana?
That was a midnight edition. And so when I woke up,
Mariana posts this at midnight. And then by 7 a.m., he had this posted on Facebook. Okay. And again, I'd like to offer my services to Adam Trone. My fee, of course, is not cheap, but whoever is advising you, you should fire them. I'd be happy to advise you on what you should and should not be releasing statements on. And this was a doozy. So now we have this. We have the evidence. We have the confirmation by the person admitting to it. And we still have not had anything done at the West Shore School District. So
I'll tell you this. The hands of justice sometimes is very slow. Okay. Now, the West Shore School District board members, as of yet, have not taken any actions. Whether they are, we're still waiting to see, because this is something that cannot simply be, brushed under a rug. Now,
but I would also like to point out, though, that this person, Adam Trone, is still sitting on the board.
Yes, and that's the whole thing. In order to, so this is what it came down to. I investigated some things, about some of their policies. And unfortunately, they don't have a policy in place as to what to do with a board member, that behaves this way or commits a crime, because this is a crime. It's a 3rd-degree felony.
Yeah.
It is a crime. So, as to how to handle it. Right. There's no policy. Exactly. And it's not an issue. There's policy and there's law. apparently, this administration and some of the people that sit on this board do not understand the difference between policy and law. Sometimes they think that the policies are law, and they don't understand that law is law. Now, since there is no policy as to how to handle it, a policy will have to be created as to how to handle it on that level. However, that does not mean, okay, that the infraction wasn't done. That doesn't mean that he didn't break the law, because he did. Okay, and
Yeah.
if you remember, and just to remind the audience as to how I met Adam Trong. I met Adam Trong. Casey, how many years was it when we had the situation with Adam?
5 years ago.
Oh, huh?
5 years
Okay,
ago.
about 5 years ago, here in New Cumberland, where I live, there was some groups, okay, promoting Black Lives Matter and the Alphabet Jihad, and there was a lot of commotion. So Casey had gotten online, and there was like having like an open, discussion on social media, the keyboard warriors, and Casey pretty much put some facts out there that Adam didn't like, and he actually invited Adam and the group that he was representing at the time, to an open forum. Let's how you like rent out the, I don't know, the West Shore theater or the fire, hall, and let's have an open discussion, because the community was divided. Let's have an open discussion about all this. Okay, but Adam, of course, started, insulting Casey, calling him name, typical Adam, and he went as far as to start a doxing campaign on my family. Okay, it's specifically Casey. Now, we get whiff of it. We get whiff of it. And I'm like, okay, well, sometimes you got to know who you're dealing with. Like I said, I never really disclose what I do for a living, and they probably
Yeah.
never will. But I'm like, if you're going to try to dox somebody, you pick the wrong one. I'll put it to you that
Yeah.
way. He picked the wrong one. So I'm like, okay, so he wants to be cute. Let's go at it. So within 5 minutes, I knew where he worked. Okay, within 5 minutes, I knew who his boss was. I knew everything I need to know about him in 5 minutes. So I contacted his employee, because I was shocked to find out that he was a teacher, because I knew nothing about him by that time. I was shocked to know that he was and still is a teacher in Dallas Town School area, and that he's behaving this way, and anybody that was giving a opinion that didn't sit with him, he was labeling, he was doxing with this group of people, and we put it out there, and his job pretty much told him to cut it out, to cut it out. Okay, so that was that. After that, I heard when he was running for office. Okay, so what I'm trying to, I guess, establish with this is that we're dealing with somebody that has absolutely no scruples at all. No scruples, okay? And I may dare say, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but but he acts like he's not totally there either, okay? Mentally. I mean,
Yeah.
this is supposed
Well,
to be a teacher, a grown man, okay, showing symptoms of arrested development,
yeah.
okay, behaving like a high schooler. Okay, now we have the situation with the bribery. Okay, the bribery is a third degree felony here in Pennsylvania. Regardless, he thinks that he didn't commit a crime because the person didn't accept the bribery. No, regardless whether you accept that bribery or not, okay, it is still a crime. Just the issue of offering it. Okay,
Should we get the visual up?
sure.
Yeah, let's put then you can keep going. Go ahead and continue to go. Talk.
Okay, so here, let me get my glasses, because I'm a bit of a blind bat sometimes. Okay, so under Title 18, Section 4701 of the Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes, a person commits bribery, a felony of the third degree, if they offer, give, or agree to give any benefit in exchange for a public servant's decision, vote, or action. Let's read that again. Offers, give, or agree to give any benefit in exchange for a public servant's decision, vote, or action. Accept
So
or
that
agree.
check mark right
Mhm,
there. Go ahead.
right there. Accept or agree. Accept or agree to accept such a benefit for influencing their official duties, seek or offer benefits for violating a known legal duty as a public servant or party official. And just to be clear, it doesn't matter if the person being influenced isn't in office yet, has already left, or doesn't even have the power to act. Attempting to bribe them is still a crime. So what
And
he
there,
committed is a crime.
Yeah, clearly. Not just that, because it's clearly right there. Attempting to bribe them is makes you guilty, and right there, then in the first section, that's what he did. He offered a benefit in exchange for a decision. That's exactly what happened.
And then the
Um,
pathetic part of this, Jonathan, is this. Now, I'm talking now as a parent of the West Shore School District, okay? As a taxpayer here in Cumberland County. The pathetic part of all this, okay, is that number one, this is supposed to be a teacher, okay, that's supposed to be held up to a certain code of conduct, in which obviously he violated. And then we have this bogus Sunshine Act violation lawsuit that's still going on precisely about this. So then he sits there and they are blaming the board majority of violating the sunshine when in reality he violated the sunshine. And then this was before the meeting that they were accusing them of violating the sunshine, and they were claiming that they didn't have knowledge of this. So which is it? Did you have knowledge or not?
yeah,
Okay, but
and
that doesn't excuse that he committed a crime.
yeah, I wonder if the judge or the jury or whoever is doing the Sunshine Act violation case. I wonder if they've looked at what we've presented on the Boiling Point podcast. I think someone maybe should tag them in it or find out who it is and just send it their way, maybe casually. And I'm going to do this one more time, and then we're going to pivot off this and move on to a different topic. Okay,
Mhm.
right here we have in plain black and white. We have him offering the presidency of the board in exchange for his vote on a specific topic or a specific series of topics. Okay, right here it is. Right there it is. All right. The statement from Adam Trone admitting that he did this. Of course, he says, was it a bribe? Nah. It was a bribe as shown by this right here. Okay, that's how it's broken down. It really can't be any clearer than that. West Shore, parents of the West Shore, and citizens of the West Shore, officials of the West Shore. It really, really can't be any simpler than that. Offer, give, or agree to give any benefit in exchange for a public servant's decision, vote, or action.
Correct. Now, to
Preview.
answer,
Hold on, if I could, Mariana, hold on one second. I'm going to read off this now for anybody who's just listening. Here's a preview for what I'm willing to suggest. Let's table the solicitor. We are all fine with going through the process that you were a part of starting. I'm not sold on stock and leader, but let there be a process. And then later on, he says, I want you to represent the board as president. Now, I'm leaving this up on the screen for a second for anybody who's watching. You can see the connect the dots. Okay, so right there it is. There's the bribe. Vote this way and you can be the president, which really isn't in his power to give. But
correct.
that doesn't matter. So here he is offering the bribe. Here he is confirming that he did exactly that. Whether he wants to call it a bribe or not is irrelevant, as pointed out by this. Offer, give, or agree to give any benefit in exchange for a public servant's decision, vote, or action. That's it. It's clear cut. He's guilty of it. Someone needs to move the ball. Someone needs to talk to an official, and where someone tagged the district attorney. That's what I'm saying. Use social media. This is the tool that social media is used for. Use it to your advantage, to our advantage. We're reporting it. Someone tag some of the officials, tag someone in it, and let's get some action done.
Well, in reference to that, um, the ball is moving, and I know this for a fact. Okay. Now it may be taking a little longer than what people like because unfortunately that's just how it is in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay. Agencies have been informed. So it's just a matter of time now to see what is going to come out, if anything, out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but it still comes out to this elections. We have to be careful with who we endorse as candidates. Because I'm going to tell you, when I was running, okay, I had Republicans. Republicans tells me to my face that they would not vote for me because of their friendship with Adam Trone. But you rather have somebody with no scruples, somebody who would think, wouldn't think twice of breaking the law. Okay, sitting on a school board when they're supposed to be an example to our children. And the problem that we have again is that the Cumberland County and York County GOP have stopped being a GOP and they have become social clubs. Okay, that's what they have become, social clubs.
Yeah.
And if you have name recognition or you have a big wallet, whether you're on the wrong side or not, they're going to support you, even
Yeah.
if you're on the wrong side. And now they're trying to bring this bipartisan nonsense in. No, bipartisan is for cowards. Okay, if you're bipartisan, you're a coward.
Yeah.
Represent who you really are. Either you're Republican or you're Democrat. We shouldn't be
Yeah.
afraid. But this
And
is what's destroying our school board and our community. This
yeah.
bipartisan nonsense, and that the GOP is, I mean, they're so broken up, like, I mean, more than a thousand piece puzzle. Okay,
Oh man,
a thousand
it's
piece puzzle. It's
yeah.
it's pathetic what's happening. And then
Yeah.
we are allowing these kind of people to come in because it's about how much money you can raise. And
Yeah.
then he's also a known socialist because he was backed up by the Communist Party also. And this is the piece of trash that we're bringing into the West Shore School District. Now we have another election coming. We have another person, Terry Mickle, okay, who's part of the PA Educators Vote, okay, and that's another group of people that are out there to not only assist the alphabet jihad, but bring socialism into our school and socialism curriculums. If we saw the elections, the primary, it was disgusting how many Republicans decided to vote for her when she is against everything that we as Republicans are supposed to be against. And so is that group that is promoting her. She is also part of the industrial educational complex. And that group, those group of people, they will sell your kid off for money in a heartbeat. Okay. They don't care if your kids are learning or not, as long as they're getting the monies into the school system and into the unions. That's all they're about. So
Yeah.
we have to be educated voters.
Yeah, we do, and that's one thing that we're trying to do. I mean, it's that's why we ask people to share it out, because we're the only really conservative voice. For anybody who's listening, I put up the visual for what Terry Mickle supports. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. Of course, Mariana created this. Thank you, Mariana. But she supports the LGBTQ alphabet soup agendas. She supports men and women's sports. She supports transgender bathrooms. She's against parental choice, against parental rights. She supports CRT, critical race theory. She supports pornographic novels in our school library. She supports DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you don't know what that is, I suggest you spend some time looking that up. We don't have time to get into that in this particular episode, but maybe that's something we'll put together. And then the rest of this is also it's completely crap. And that's also the problem within the West Shore and a lot of things here local in Pennsylvania is the cross filing, Mariana. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to cross file as both Democrat and Republican is just who decided that, is whoever enacted that is just probably a Democrat. But it was
Yeah.
the terrible, terrible thing.
Now I was I don't know if I shared this with you, but on primary day, I went to one of our polls here. Casey and I would just drop by. David was sitting there. We were, talking to him, and lo and behold, here comes Terry Mickles. Okay, so she wasn't too happy when she saw me standing by the poll. But anyway, I saw something that made me chuckle. Now I don't know if I shared this with you. I don't think I did. So back by the time that the election came, we were battling. West Shore was battling on whether they were going to pass the athletic policy to keep men out of women's sports. So this gentleman comes up to her, right? Because she's there. Hi, I'm Terry Mickle. And she's giving her paperwork out. Okay. And this gentleman, when I saw him, he's one of the old timers, you know what I'm saying? He says
Yeah,
to her, I want to know. He says, he says to her, I want to know where you stand with men and women's sports. She didn't know what to do with herself, Jonathan. She looked at him. I saw this with my own eyes. She looked at him. She goes, well, this is why we have co-ed, sports also. Okay. And he's like, no, 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 no. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, what is your position on having men and women sports? Well, we have co-ed sports. He's like, ma'am, that's not what I'm asking you. I am against men being in women's sports. I want to know your position on this. Where do you stand? Okay. And she's like, well, we have co-ed sports that they can participate. And he just looked at her, one like this. He came over to
Yeah.
me. He goes, who's your candidate? So I gave him Kelly's paper, and I'm like, if you want common sense policy, Mrs. Brent. If you want to keep
Yeah.
boys out of women's sports and locker rooms, Mrs. Brent. He goes, that's who I'm voting for. He went and voted for her. So that right there. Now, at this point, she sees that I'm seeing this, right? At this point, she picks up the phone and she's calling for enforcement. So who shows up? Cambic. I'm like, oh Lord, here goes Beaker. That's what I call him, Beaker from the Muppets. Here goes Beaker. So I'm like he's gonna help Annie. But it just shows that she's dancing on the line here. Okay, she's and she doesn't even
Yeah.
know where she stands. She doesn't even know. She wouldn't
No.
even explain where. She doesn't even know what she believes. Okay, all
Yeah.
she believes is that cyber school is bad. Cyber school is bad, but has
Yeah.
no solution. Like that, like Adam Chong, because that's his main thing now. Has no solution as to how to stop the bleeding in the West Shore School District and stop our children from going into these cyber schools. But that's what I witnessed on primary day, and I'm like, so she couldn't answer that man. She couldn't. She couldn't say to him, "I believe that it's okay." No, she wanted to dance around it. And this is the
Yep.
quality of people that are now coming up to run. And this is the mess that the GOP is deciding to support.
Yeah, it's a real problem. The GOP, the local GOP, we're more the local GOP, Mariana, than the local GOP is. So, especially
Mhm.
with what we're doing, but it's terrible that it has to be like that. I don't know what's happening with the Republican Party at the local level, but here in Pennsylvania, they are sinking like the Titanic. So I don't know. I don't know
Mhm.
what's going on here. I mean, and that's the shame though, because the people are on our side, all the people but they're getting so confused because they got people who's claiming that they're Republicans who are lying to their face, and then when they get voted in, are doing whatever they want,
Well,
and
look what they did to
that's the other
Sandra.
real problem.
Look
What?
what they did to Look what they did to Sandra.
Yeah,
Okay,
Sandra. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna have her
we
on.
had
She's still planning. Yeah, we're still planning to have her on so she can discuss it. And that
Mhm.
hasn't gone away. We are still going to do that. We've just wanted to wait a little, let a little time pass, and so that we can discuss the analytical side of it, and not have any emotion. I'm sure Sandra was very unhappy about that. Listen, I don't know how unhappy she was, but I was unhappy. So
I
listen,
It didn't surprise me. It didn't
we did
surprise
a
me because the same person that did her in, Jonathan, was the same person that tried to do me in. So it did not surprise me.
oh, but
I
yeah,
did think she was going to
mm,
win. I did. It did not surprise me that they went that far. What surprised me was that they were people who were coming with Sandra's, paperwork in their hand to vote for her. They were snatching it out of their hands and pulling them into a tent, telling them that Sandra was a liar and not to vote for her.
yeah,
That is disgusting, and
and
that is not allowed.
that
And
goes
they did it.
to that goes to the Republican side, though, not being, as balanced and as working together as a single unit. We're very fractured and broken up here, in at least in central Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And I got news for you. Like, on election day, I'm not a big fan of the cold, so November is not really my favorite month. But there's a chance, especially with everything that's happened. I think there's a chance, Mariana, depending on work schedules and stuff, that the Boiling Point podcast might do some coverage on election day at the local level, and maybe even be at a polling place to do some live coverage. So, and
That would be fantastic.
we will absolutely not pick the same polling place as Terry Mickle or any of these other people. We will absolutely not do that at all. And for anybody who's just listening to the episode, I am shaking my head up and down. I'm not shaking it in agreement with the statement that I just made.
I hear you. I'll be there. I will be there. I am. I'm
Okay.
literally gonna be there that day.
Yeah, so let's move on, because now we got other things. Speaking of Terry Mickle, we'll use that as a perfect segue. Who likes pornography in the school district, and thinks that these things that you guys are getting removed out of the school district are comparative to Shakespeare, which
No, that would be Matthew Gay, the assistant principal. I can't
that
even
was
believe he said that.
oh, it was him that said that. I thought that was a Terry Mickle statement.
No,
So
no, no. That was Matthew Gay, the assistant principal. My
okay,
jaw just dropped. I'm like, how stupid are you, dude?
the assistant principal, yeah, as he's the guy that
Assistant
sits.
superintendent.
Yeah, he's the
Assistant
guy that sits
superintendent.
next to
Todd
the
Stokes.
I Yeah, Todd Stoltz. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're
Mhm.
both. Yeah, they're both. And may I just say from both of them, the way that the both of you, the superintendent and the assistant superintendent, Todd Stoltz, and who was it? Who's the assistant?
The assistant superintendent is Matthew Gay, and then the
Matthew Gay. So
superintendent
Todd,
is
so Todd Stoltz and Matthew Gay, the way you talk to the president of the school board, Kelly Brent, is horrendous. And if I was the president, I would gavel you right out of the session for being disrespectful. So the way you talk to her is completely disrespectful, and you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. And you need to take a good, long, hard look at both what you're selling to the school board, what you're selling to the students, and the lies that you're selling to yourself in the mirror every morning, because I don't think anybody's buying it, including yourselves. So you don't really speak with much conviction in your voice. It's very roundabout and, this and that. So maybe look into that, because the way they treat Mariana, I mean, the way they treat Kelly is very inappropriate, in my opinion,
yeah.
at
What
the
it
school board.
is, Jonathan, what it is that they've got so used to in the years in which the school board was ran by these liberals, by Abigail Turney and Brian Geiswhite, and all these other, lunatics. They got so used to saying whatever they wanted to say, doing whatever they wanted to do. The board became more of a social club because it did. Okay, that now they don't know what to do with themselves when they have people trying to hold them accountable for their actions and asking them to provide information, to provide documents, to justify things. They don't like being questioned because for so long they haven't been questioned. So how dare you? Okay, and
Yeah,
that's also the attitude of the administrator Todd Stoltz. Okay, he believes that he has this power that he honestly does not have. He isn't subordinate to his bosses, and I pray that his bosses, wake up, get a backbone, and take the actions that they have to take against Todd Stoltz, because Todd Stoltz not only has he gaslight the community, the media, the parents, he even tried gaslighting them. But the parents are
yeah,
not putting up with it anymore. And as we go in search of, we're having to come in with proof in hand, okay, that he is inadequate. He is not qualified, and he should not be sitting in that seat of administration. Because the main problem, honestly, outside of people like Abigail Cherney, that she's leaving in December, praise God, but do not think that she's going to be gone, guys, because I can
no,
tell everybody a lot of people are happy that she's leaving, but that's because she feels she's more effective outside and in. I'm not stupid. I know what she's up to. Okay,
yeah,
but the thing is, he's gotten away with so many things and nobody's called him, in check or in line, that it is time for this new administrator to either write him up, take some disciplinary action, or vote him out, because the parents are not putting up with it anymore. The parents are digging, the parents are investigating, and we're getting the answer. Even when we do right to knows now with Ryan Argott, most of those right to knows are denied when they shouldn't be denied. Okay, so we're going to go about those right to knows a whole different way, even if we have to
yeah,
escalate it up. Okay, because
yeah,
they're all covering. So
yeah,
yes, this administrator got to go. He's got to
yeah,
go. The problem of the West Shore School District is the administration, the people
yeah,
who are in administration. I
yeah,
mean, he feels that he has the last word, and no, it doesn't work that way. It
yeah.
doesn't work that way.
No, it
He
doesn't.
is
And may I say,
outfit.
and it
He is
was one of the
out.
last meetings. It was one of the last meetings in May that Kelly actually stood up to, I believe, the both of them and put them both in their
Mhm.
place. And basically said, "No, you're going to listen. This is what we want." And
Correct.
that was great to see. And I hope she continues to do that. And I would like to see more of the school board members. Now, whether it's not their place, it certainly is Kelly. She's the president. So if it's not the place for the other school board members to maybe stand up when something like that's happening, then maybe then don't do it, of course. But if you think it, if it's in your place, I think maybe more of the school board members need to be making a statement, not necessarily maybe getting
Correct.
involved, but at least making a statement about how inappropriate it is to address the president that way. I mean, they get free
Well,
comments, they get the
the thing is,
opportunity to speak
um,
freely at times.
it is their place, okay, to say something and put him in his place. That they've chosen not to is something different. But I agree
Yeah,
with you. They need to become more vocal because they need to start working as a unit. Because let me tell you, if this board it become all liberal, you think they're not going to work as a unit against the conservative? I seen it happen before they flipped that board. I saw how they all used to gang up against Heidi Thomas. That was the only conservative voice on that board. Okay, I saw that with my eyes. All right, so if you think that if they're not gonna, they're gonna have the same courtesies, they're not. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's time to start working as a unit and doing what needs to be done to push the West Shore School District forward.
Yeah. So, all right, let's switch now and talk about the what did you the books? Is that what you wanted to talk about, or did you want to talk about something different that was happening? Because a lot has
It's up to
happened since
you.
we broke
It's
the
up to you
story.
because
So,
so much has
I'll,
happened.
I'm going to turn it over to you now and let you start talking about some of the topics you wanted to cover in this episode.
Well, the big monkey in the room right now is the books. Okay. For years now, at least for 5 years, my husband and I have been labeled as liars, okay, by Tostos and Brian Geiswhite, claiming that there is no pornography in the libraries of the West Shore School District. Well, I guess we proved in this just meeting. I wasn't there in the meeting, but I knew Christy was going to do it. Okay. I was on vacation, and Christy proved that, yes, there is pornography in the West Shore School District. And she brought forward, the copies of the books that we have found. There's many more books. We just decided to expose those six. Okay, there's many more books that is actually grooming our children. Okay, so
If I
for
can interrupt for
example,
just a
this one
moment.
is at a
Can I interrupt for just a moment, Mariana, just for a second? We were actually did
Mhm.
not get a chance to cover those meetings either. I had some doctor's appointments, and we were not able to cover those meetings either. But the meeting is still available online, and I believe Mariana and I, or at least I'm going to plan to, we're going to re-show that meeting, or at least parts of the meeting, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit after. I think we're going to do that next week, Mariana. We'll talk after the episode's over. So go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure people, if they were wondering why we didn't cover it last week, it's because there was just everybody was busy, and or everybody was at the school board meeting. So, we just weren't able to do it. But we are gonna get the video and then share it and talk about it a little bit sometime next week, I believe. So go ahead, Mariana.
That is correct. And I was out of the country, so that's the reason I wasn't there. But believe me, I was watching from where I was at. So
Well,
that
that's
being stated,
unacceptable, Mariana. How being out of the country is not an excuse to not put on this coverage. Of course, I'm just kidding, everybody. No,
I
go
know
ahead.
you are. Trust me, I was tempted. Trust me, I was tempted. So,
I really tried to, Mariana. I really tried to. I really wanted to be able to at least do the watch along or something, but I just did not. I
mhm.
just couldn't. It was pushing me too far. I wasn't able to. I just didn't have the time.
Now this book is found at Crossroads Middle School, and it's called "It's Almost It's Perfectly Normal." Now I
A middle
have
school.
no right. I have no problem with kids being taught sex education the way we were taught. Okay, with the women's organs, the men's organs, the chromosomes, whatever, what happens,
Mhm.
when puberty kicked in. But this takes it a little further. Not only do
Yeah.
we have, because I don't remember any school book, I don't know about you, Jonathan, in which they would show everybody's naked body, like on the upper left. Okay, and then get even more detail in showing lesbian couples, gay couples, okay, normal
Yeah.
couples having sex, and also a whole chapter on how to masturbate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfectly
This is
normal. Chapter
inappropriate.
15.
No,
Chapter
this is
15. Perfectly normal masturbation. Yeah.
exactly. And this is not perfectly normal. Okay. At
No.
all. At all. This is
Even
not
your dogs
perfectly
are unhappy
normal.
about it.
Exactly. Even my dog's unhappy about it. This is not perfectly normal. What this is perfectly abnormal and disgusting. Okay.
Yes,
That's
it
what this
is.
is. Okay. But then, now when Christy brought all this forward in the last meeting, all you heard was the crickets. Then we have this little jammy right here. Um, and I apologize for the dogs, which is
That's
me,
okay.
Earl, and the dying girl.
Oh,
Okay. And this is the one that uses that language, okay, about eating a woman's private part
listen,
and how to eat a woman's private part.
I do. We do. I know that people listen to this to the Boiling Point podcast, and I always try and reiterate or whatever with the visuals, just like I did earlier when I was reading some of the stuff. I'm not reading this. All right. So if you want to
I'm gonna
know
keep
what
it
this
on
is,
screen a minute because I have one of my boys reading the screen. I think he
okay,
hasn't
that's
seen that
fine.
book before.
Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, that's fine. We can leave it up on the screen so that everybody has a plenty of time to actually read it. But I'm not going to repeat it for
He's
everybody. This
asking me,
is
He's asking me, "What book is that?" Go back. Okay. He's like, "What book?" And I'm telling you, it's called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. So, one thing that Christy and I, we
Mm.
were seeing this podcast, right, from this pastor. And he was saying how these books that, are talking about this disgusting stuff, are coming in with titles that seem very benevolent. Because if I tell you, Jonathan, oh yeah, my kid's reading a book called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, I'm thinking they're gonna do something nice for their friend. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
thinking it's sympathetic, and yeah, I don't think that we're gonna do that to their friend.
yeah.
And it gets more egregious than what you guys saw on the screen
Well,
because when Christy called me, we took different books. When she called me, she read down. I'm like, "What are you reading?" And she's like, "Shh, shh, shh, let me finish." And my jaw dropped. I wanted to put Clorox in my eyes. I'm like, "You're kidding me, right?" And she took a
yeah.
picture because I wanted her to take a picture for me to see this. I was like, "Oh Lord!" So that and yeah, and that's grooming. That's pornography. It is
Yeah.
illegal to expose your children or anybody to expose your children. It's actually a crime to this. Now we have another book here.
And
Oh,
if
that
you,
is
I
just
mean,
as disgusting.
for the people watching who didn't get a chance to actually read the excerpts that from the book that we had on the screen, if you are comparing that filth to Shakespeare, you're the problem.
Mhm.
You're not part of the problem. You are the problem.
And this is what they do. They gaslight the community. They go to the York Dispatch or the York Dumpster and to pen lies, and they make these stupid little comments. Okay, if Shakespeare would have written what you guys see on the screen right now, back in that time, he would have been imprisoned and executed.
He would have absolutely been imprisoned and executed if he would have wrote this at that time. Make no mistake about that statement that Mariana just said.
Hmm.
It's so
Hmm.
not an exaggeration. That's why I'm laughing right now because it's absolutely not an exaggeration.
And I'm a big history buff. Anybody that knows me would tell you that I'm a big history
Me
buff.
too.
So yes, he would have been arrested and executed. And I'm gonna leave that there because you don't want to hear what's gonna come out of my mouth next. So here's another book that this book was discussed by Republican Senator. I believe his name is Kennedy.
Kennedy,
And
yes,
it's
you're right. I was actually going to say the same thing, Mariana. If you didn't know, yep, this is a book that was just discussed on Congress floor by Congressman Kennedy, who is who is just one of the most sane people that is in the is on in the Senate right now. Or is he a congressman or a senator? He might be a senator.
I think
Either
he's a
one. He's
senator.
one of the most sane people there, and he is also so funny. And he's funny. He's not trying to be funny. He just speaks so plainly and just so honestly that you that's why I laugh whenever I watch him because he's what he says about some of this stuff is absolutely spot on.
Oh, I love listening to him. I absolutely do.
Yeah,
Okay,
and this
but to see
and this is
that this
garbage.
piece of trash is in our district also.
Yeah,
And so I remember how I always tell you, Jonathan, our kids don't know that 1 and 1 is 2,
yeah,
but they know how to put some lube on
they do know how
if
to
they
put some
read this
lube on.
book. Okay, this
They
book has a graphic description of sexual acts, including this phrase. I put some lube on and got him on his knees and began to slide into him from behind. And the
yeah,
book
this
gets more
is
egregious. I try to take the statements that are least, I mean, they're shocking, but they're not
the
gonna,
least, yeah, terrible, yeah, the ones that are, yeah, like, yeah. So just think that
exactly,
if this is what she got, that was the least egregious.
exactly.
What is
And
the other one? What is the other
the
ones?
latest book is this one. This one came in this year, The Black Flamingo. Okay, and this book is about a young man, having an identity crisis, and he figures out that, he will make a great drag queen. Now, this book speaks a lot about drugs, okay, him and being introduced to drugs, what kind of drugs, and it also has these graphic scenes. This book is written in form of essays, okay? And here
Yeah,
he's talking about I guess the young man that if you read this essay, he drugged them up before this, okay? So he
yeah.
puts dancing with Kieran is better than a dream. He puts his hand on my waist and pulls me towards him. He bends both his legs to bring his groin in line with mine.
I gotta
And we
stop you.
sway.
Can I stop you right there?
Yes,
That line, not relevant in any kind of storytelling or like that is so an irrelevant sentence or it doesn't even have any punctuation, so it's not even a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, yeah, no, that one, it's so not important. Why is that important? That's an unnecessary
Yes,
sentence in that whole
exactly.
thing.
And this is the Black Flamingo, and this book was brought in this year. Now, there's another one that I should have given you the cover for. It's called The Breakup List. And I was actually reading it on YouTube until I couldn't take it anymore because I wanted to wash my eyes out with Clorox. Okay. The book is about a young man that does a breakup list of his sister's boyfriends and whatever, and he finds himself falling in love with one particular boyfriend. Okay, and he talks about touching him and all this other stuff that you can imagine. Okay, that is totally inappropriate. Now, my son, um, I get this thing from the librarian. He owned a book in the library, right? And I'm like, dude, you owe this book. What's up with this book? He's like, oh, that book was disgusting. I'm like, well, I saw the title of the book. I'm like, well, what's disgusting about it? The title of the book was um Things That Should Remain in the Past. Now, my son, he likes archaeology and he likes all that kind
Oh
of. So he's thinking that is something to
yeah.
that effect. He tells me, I took this book out. He tells me it wasn't even in the LGBTQ section, and it was about one man wanting to touch and have another. I'm like, what? Okay, so you see, they're being exposed in so many different ways. Now, this last book that I'm going to bring, and there's many more. There's many more. Okay, this
Oh yeah,
last
this
book
is
here
just
that
the
I'm going
tip
to
of the
bring,
iceberg.
yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This one is called A Girl by the Sea. Okay, now this is a book that is acclaimed and won awards and all this other crap. What is this about? A girl that I guess she's going through a lot of problems in her family. She decides that she's going to commit suicide. She jumps over because all these stories start with suicide. Okay, I'll have you know that. Okay,
Oh
she
man, I
jumps.
know.
She jumps into.
Isn't that
It's
such a
disgusting.
coincidence, Mariana?
Yeah.
Isn't that such a coincidence that it
And
all
that's the
starts?
main talking point. That if you don't accept LGBTQ kids or people, they're gonna commit suicide. That's the main talking point.
And I
And
don't.
if you open these books, in all these books.
Yeah, and I'd also like to point out that if you actually look at the suicide rate right now, they are the highest among LGBTQ plus that have had operations or surgeries. Go look up the
Hmm.
stats. I'm not making this up. You can go look it up. They are right now the highest among that particular group. So people, that these books promote suicide if you don't accept it. But in
Correct.
reality, but in reality, more people live normal lives if you don't accept it than if you do accept it and then do something that's irreversible and then you can't go back. Then that's where usually suicide actually comes more into play. So you can go look that stat up. I'm not lying to you. You confirm it for yourself. Please don't take my word for it. And furries,
And
Mariana.
that is correct. Now, this particular book, I'm sorry. Yeah, this particular book, the girl jumps into the sea, and this mermaid, they call it a Selkie or Sulky,
Mm,
something like that, come to save her and falls in
yeah.
love with the girl and convinces the girl through the whole book. This creature is teaching her how to lie to her parents, how to look into her emotions, is convincing her that she's a lesbian throughout the whole book. Okay. Eventually, they fall in love and the Selkie goes away for whatever reason into Selkie land, whatever you want to call it. She stays back as a lesbian, desiring her. And that book also touches on the topic of furries. Her brother in the book is a furry. And it
Oh,
also, towards the end of the book, talks about pedophilia. I think grandpa was a pedophile.
oh,
And they're normalizing minor attractive people. Okay, that's the term. So
oh.
yeah, it's promoting all this stuff. Now, the good thing about what Christy said also was let me see if I can find it.
Like to
The
promote a fist to
battle the
some of these
Yeah,
people.
the battle of all this started when I found this book 5 years ago in the library that Todd Stoltz and Brian Geisweit had the nerve up to just very recently to say that this filth, that none of this filth is in the West Shore School District. And this book is genderqueer. This one and this book is gay. It's another book that was there that they deny it being there. These are one of the two most egregious books, and it is there. And I thank God that Christy says something which is very true. We, the parents, have asked our children. that go to the schools, are these books in the libraries? And they say yes. Or they're in the classrooms in the teachers' personal libraries, because some teachers have, little library shelves promoting this crap. So what they did is that they hid it. So when all this came to be 5 years ago, that Brian Geiswhite went on to the York Dispatch saying, "Oh, those books are not there. The parent made it up. Because if that book was there, it would be cataloged." And again, this is something that we're trying to fight with the school board with, and that is that books that are donated are not cataloged, and they need to be cataloged. They're
Yep.
working on the library policy right now, and one thing that I will strongly urge them to do is put a clause in there that if books are being donated, we need to be able to have a database that says the name of the book and who donated it. Okay. But bottom line, looking at all this, I was looking at some laws just this evening. You probably saw it on the West Shore Parents Facebook page today. That denotes the different laws that the West Shore School Administration broke in allowing these books in. There are
Yeah.
about, I would say, a good four laws, okay, that these people, that will prove that these people, the West Shore School Administration, broke the law, committed a crime. They're enabling grooming. They're corrupting minors. Okay. And these
Yeah.
are four Pennsylvania laws that you cannot expose, especially in school, children to this material, but they will sell your child for an apple if that apple is beneficial for them. And this is what's happening in West Shore. And for him to sit there and look me in the face, and Brian Geiswhite to sit there and look at me and the husband in our faces and all the parents and say, "We don't have these books in the West Shore School District." Well, I'm going to call you out for what you are, a liar and a groomer. Because you have been grooming our children for the last couple of years, God knows how many years. And this is why we have the mess that we have in our schools when it comes to gender identity has been caused by you. And we have to add Brian Geiswhite's wife in there, Kelly Geiswhite, because she was the head of librarians when Casey and I 5 years ago talked about genderqueer. As soon as that meeting ended, he went and he called his wife. And he told her, "Well, I called my wife and she's the head librarian." She says, "It's not in there." No, it's in there. She knew it. And she was also the head of the Gay Straight Alliance, a club in the West Shore School District, okay, for the gay children. So for those three people, two in administration and a school board member, to sit there and lie and gaslight the community, and for when the parents, now we go in search of, and like Jonathan was saying, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's many
Yeah.
more, and I applaud them for working on this library policy, okay, to try to make sure that this trash is removed from our school. But I will encourage them. I will definitely encourage them. And now that they put the taco eating dragon in charge of bringing the materials in and deciding what material goes in, I highly, highly encourage you that donated books, that there has to be some sort of database for them. Okay.
Yeah.
And my question still stands. My question still stands. Who is supervising the taco eating dragon, Tastos, the administration, to make sure that they're not slipping these books in?
Yeah.
Because that decision to make him responsible for choosing the material, I'm sorry, it was a brain fart. You know me, I'm gonna call it for what it is. It was
Oh
a brain
yeah.
fart.
Well, yeah, it was political maneuvering, which, like I said, the conservative majority sometimes it seems like they have trouble, standing up for the right thing. Though that seems to be happening a little bit, less and less. Maybe the support of the Boiling Point podcast is giving them, that kind of support that maybe they needed to be able to stand up and say, this is not right. So I'm hoping that continues, because they're the school board, they can write the policy, they can change the policy. That's their job. So this taking too long, and I'd also like to point out, because there's something else about the superintendent and the assistant superintendent. When the school board members want facts or they want information, why are you not coming to the meeting prepared? Because that's the other thing I hear. Oh, well, things are taking too long because the Republicans are dragging their feet because they want this. They're not dragging their feet. They want information. They want the information they should be having if you want them to give an educated vote on something. You don't want them to have an
Right.
educated vote. You just want them to vote your way. So maybe show up to
Correct.
a meeting. Maybe show up to a meeting prepared with the information that they're going to ask for, because every time you do something, they ask you the same questions.
Yeah,
So
and
maybe
then they
put that
try to
information.
victimize. They try to villainize the school
Yeah,
board members for asking the questions that they're supposed to be asking because
exactly.
they don't want them, like you said, to have the answer, and they don't want
Yeah,
whatever they're trying to do to pass to go through. Okay, and you're
yeah.
absolutely correct. Then they try to villainize the school board members, specifically the president.
Yeah,
You're
that's
right.
exactly what happens. And yeah, when you have an administration who doesn't get along and we're actively working to undermine the school board, it's not going to work. So I don't see how they can make it work. I don't care about disciplinary action. You've letting it get this far. There's only one thing to do. It's time to cut the cord and start anew and fresh. Maybe this time with some policy in place. And
Yes, that's what.
while you're there, maybe
I'm sorry. Go
write
on.
some policy on conduct unbecoming a member of the West Shore School District Board.
Yes, that, and also they need to revisit the contract, and they need to revisit um the say employment description of the superintendent, because there are things that needs to be added there, especially his behavior towards media. Because honestly, I'm not being mean, and it's not that I'm trying to hurt anybody, but I honestly believe that the only solution to get the West Shore School District back on track is getting rid of Tostos and putting
Yes,
somebody there who honestly is going to work with the school board, honestly is going to listen to the parents, and honestly going to have the best interest of our children, because it's not him. It's
no,
really not him.
no, it's not.
And that's
And
basically what's needed. We need to get rid of him.
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Todd Stoltz or Matt Gay, if you disagree with anything that we're talking about right now, please reach out and we'd love to have you on an episode, but you better come way more prepared than you show up to school board meetings if you want to come on. But unfortunately, that is where we're going to leave off. And with the, definitely, I think it's time for a new administration at the West Shore, because you guys are teetering on the edge right now. West Shore's teetering, man. They're right there. The wrong vote this November, the wrong school board members get flipped. You guys end up with the wrong, losing some of the school board members you need. And I don't know if you can save the West Shore School District. I also don't know what happens when a school board or when a school district goes broke, completely bankrupt.
The
But
state
if,
takes over.
well, I think honestly, if depending on what happens this election, unless the people really get involved and really vote in the right school board members, I think the West Shore School District ends up being taken over by the state in the next couple of years. I don't think that
I
they
believe I
survive.
believe so too. I don't see how they can avoid it. I believe it happened
No.
in Harrisburg. I believe it's Harrisburg that it happened in.
Oh, Harrisburg.
So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, the state had to take
But I
over the
will
city.
tell you,
They had a mayor who didn't even know how to run a city.
right now, I will tell you a result of us, the parents, and the boiling point, putting the information that we are out here. There has been a result of Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that are realtors. Okay. And they have told me that a lot of parents, when they realize that they find a house in the community or whatever that they like, when they realize that the children will be going to a West Shore School District school, they decide not to buy the house and go elsewhere because they
Wow.
don't want the stigma that comes with the West Shore School District and all the mess that they know that's happening in the West Shore School District, and how the West Shore School District is breaking the backs of people with taxes, okay, in Cumberland County. So a lot of my friends who are realtors are telling me, that the downside of it, and it's unfortunate, but it's happening, that people are
Yeah.
refusing to move into the West Shore School District because they don't want their children in the West Shore School District school.
So not only are you guys hemorrhaging students to the cyber school, but now you're also not going to get any more growth, except for, of course, we found that in one of the most recent ones, immigration. Apparently, the West Shore School District is about to take on a whole bunch of new students
Mhm.
that are immigrants from. I don't know. They didn't. I didn't. I don't think they said specifically from where or as any kind of a reason, but I believe they're refugee type immigrants. So of course, that's how you're expanding, but not expanding any more, actual families or anything like that moving into the district. And you know what?
And
I'm not.
that's not a good thing, Jonathan. Let me tell you, that's not a good thing. I'm gonna tell you why.
No.
Because some of these kids, okay, the West Shore School District has to flip the bill for them. Okay. So
Yeah,
considering that 80%, okay, 70 or 80% of our budget goes to administrative cost,
which is
and
ridiculous.
whatever Exactly. And whatever is left over is for what the school district really need. And then from whatever's left over, we have to take a portion of that and allot it to these kids that are coming in. So what is really left for us for our children? And
Yes,
then they want to have these frivolous
exactly.
spendings of iPads and Apple Pads and all this other stuff.
Oh man, yes. Lo, please, we're coming up on an hour. Don't get me started on
I'm
that.
not
Um, of course, I do think tablets are a useful tool in education, and I want to make everybody clear that they're a tool.
mhm,
That shouldn't be the be all end all. They shouldn't be on it all day. That's not the only way they should be learning. But I do believe it's a tool. I can use it as a tool with my nephew. We do things, he learns. It is a tool. But when your school district is 40 to $49 million in the hole, and even with the best projections, I don't care. Even with your tax rates, you're still next year. You're still going to be at least 25 or $30 million in the hole. I don't care what the projections say. Just like the person at one of the recent meetings, they said your numbers don't add up. Your numbers, your projection numbers aren't adding up. So you
correct.
can
I love when he said that because it
yeah,
was true.
you can bullshit the people all you want. But bottom line is I saw a budget. It's not been more. It's not from this year. It wasn't 2025. It was a 2024 budget. But bottom line is I saw a budget, and you guys, you don't just turn around your numbers like that. You don't go from negative 50 million as a projection to positive or in the green. It just doesn't work that way. Numbers don't work that way. So, yeah, someone's going to be checking out their numbers too. Someone better be careful. Whoever's running the numbers better be careful too, because eventually someone's going to take notice to some of this stuff, and it's going to
They
be
already are.
they're going to be at the state and federal level, and then there is no getting out of that after that. You Penn Live and the York Dispatch are not going to get you out of jail for free when they come knocking on your door. So I'd be
Correct.
careful about the information that you're putting out there, especially at meetings. Meetings are a public. They're a public meeting. There's public minutes required. That's what the video is for. It's actually in place of the public minutes. And I believe actually the West Shore does both. They still take public minutes and they show the videos. So them being public meetings, you can't just give false information to your constituents. That's also illegal.
Mhm.
So, I'd be careful with that as well. So just be careful about make sure the information you put up there is accurate, and not everybody, people are starting to pay attention, Mariana. With our help and with everything going on, they're starting to pay attention. I'm glad that we've been able to have influence like that. It sucks that West Shore is going through this, but I'm glad that we've been able to influence to make more people look and say, pay attention and see what's going on.
Correct.
So we're going to wrap it up and we're going to get out of here unless there was anything else you wanted to add, Mariana.
No, not at all. Because you know me, I can talk all night. No,
Yes,
I'm good.
yes, but we don't, we definitely don't want to. I don't know about you, but I'm sweating to death. It's hot here
Yeah,
in
I'm tired.
Pennsylvania, even at
Mhm.
10:15. And yeah, we both had very long days. So we're going to close out. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to keep hammering this. If action isn't done, and it could be happening behind the scenes, and may not know it, but until we know it, we're going to keep hammering it. There's no stay of execution. So, we're going to keep on talking about this, the bribery issue, the books issues. So school board, get active, and anybody can come on the episode. Let's talk about it.
Mhm.
So reach out to us. And, of course, check out Mariana, Watchdog Report, and Simply Speaking, Marcus Frederiksen, and the music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen, and our storefronts, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. Pick up some of our new Freedom Apparel in honor of the 4th of July. And until next time, for Mariana, I am the host, JD, and that's the end.